This video was made possible thanks to the unwavering support of our dedicated patrons. We cannot thank you enough for your kindness. Hello everyone and welcome to another EDH gameplay video brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name's Martin.
And my name is Alex.
This week we've been testing out our new camera, but due to some technical issues we're unable to show you any of this footage at the moment. Hopefully we'll have some ready for the next video. In the meantime, I've been digging around our archive folder and came across this crazy game, which was an absolute nightmare to write a script for. I'm looking at you, Tom. So without further ado, let's take a look at those opening hands.
My commander is Kozilek the Great Distortion. I keep an opening hand of Hangerback Walker, Palladium Mere, Scrap Trawler, Mindstone, Commander's Sphere and 2 wastes.
My commander is Unesh, Cryosphinx Sovereign. My opening hand contains Dream Eater, Goliath Sphinx, Sphinx of the Final Word, Sky Diamond and 3 islands.
Tom is playing his Grenzo Dungeon Warden deck and keeps an opening hand consisting of Goblin Cratermaker, Faithless Butcher, Pitiless Plunderer, Evolving Wilds, Canyon Slough and 2 swamps.
And finally, Ren's partner commanders are Will and Rowan Kenrith. His opening hand is made up of Saheeli Rai, Izzet Signet, Basalt Monolith, Hedron Archive, Counterspell, an island and a mountain. I win the die roll, play an island and pass to Tom.
Tom plays Evolving Wilds, which he immediately sacrifices to put a mountain into play before passing.
Ren plays an island and ends his turn.
I play Urza's Mine and pass to Martin.
I play Terrain Generator and then cast Sky Diamond before passing the turn.
Tom plays a swamp and casts his commander, Grenzo Dungeon Warden. He then ends his turn.
Ren plays a mountain and casts Izzet Signet before passing to Alex.
I play Thespian Stage and join in on the ramp game by casting Mind Stone before passing the turn.
I use Terrain Generator's ability to put an island into play tapped and play Myriad Landscape. I then end my turn.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Magus of the Moon. My mana base becomes a lot more mountainous and Tom passes to Ren.
Ren plays an island and then casts Basalt Monolith. Next he casts Hedron Archive and passes a turn.
I play a waste and then cast Palladium Mere before ending my turn.
I play an island and then cast my commander, Unesh Cryosphinx Sovereign. I select Tom to decide the piles for Unesh's trigger and put Call to the Kindred and Sphinx of Lost Truths into my hand. With nothing more to do, I pass to Tom.
Tom plays a mountain and casts Pitiless Plunderer. Moving to combat, he attacks Ren with Grenzo and his Magus, dealing him 4 damage, and then passes the turn.
Ren plays Reliquary Tower, which immediately turns into a mountain, and then casts one of his commanders, Will Kenrith. He uses Will's +2 ability, targeting Unesh and Grenzo, and ends his turn.
I play a waste and cast Commander's Sphere. Next I cast Coalition Relic and pass to Martin.
I cast Dream Eater, which doesn't trigger Unesh's ability, given that Will's ability took that away. Man, I hate that guy. I surveil 4, putting 2 islands into my graveyard, bounce Will to Ren's hand and play an island before passing the turn.
Tom plays Canyon Slough and ends his turn with 4 mana opened. Not suspicious at all.
Ren casts Tezzeret the Seeker and uses his +1 ability to untap his Basalt Monolith. Spicy. Next he recasts Will and Tom responds to this by activating Grenzo's ability, putting Judith the Scourge Leaver into play from the bottom of his library. Tom then activates Grenzo once more, this time putting Gonti, Lord of Luxury into play, targeting Ren with his ETB. Tom steals one of the top 4 cards of Ren's library, and Ren uses Will's +2 ability to make both of my Sphinxes 0/3s with no abilities. Raise your hand if you've ever been personally victimised by Will Kenrith. Happy with his turn, Ren passes to Alex, who responds by tapping his relic to put a charge counter on it before proceeding to his turn.
I remove a charge counter from Coalition Relic to add a mana to my mana pool and cast my commander, Kozilek the Great Distortion. I draw 3 cards from his cast trigger, play a waste, and pass the turn, to which Martin responds by casting Rapid Hybridization on my Eldrazi Titan. Kozilek is destroyed and replaced by a 3/3 Frog Lizard, and Martin moves to his turn.
I play an island and then cast Call to the Kindred, enchanting my Dream Eater. With nothing more to do, I end my turn.
Tom moves straight to combat, attacking Will with Grenzo and his Magus, and Tezzeret with Judith and Gonti. Both walkers have their loyalty reduced to 0, and Tom passes to Ren, once again holding up a ton of mana.
Ren starts his turn by casting Ugin the Spirit Dragon, to which Tom responds by casting the Insidious Will that he stole from Ren's deck. Alex and I cheer, and Ren lets out a cry of despair before passing the turn.
I play Field of Ruin and then cast Bane of Balaged. Not quite finished, I cast Opaline Unicorn, and then end the turn.
In my upkeep, I look at the top 5 cards of my library thanks to Call of the Kindred, and put Sphinx Ambassador into play with this effect. This triggers Unesh's ability, and I choose Ren to pick the piles, informing him that his decision will impact whether or not I attack him this turn. I pick the pile containing Master of Predicaments and Cerulean Sphinx, and finally move to my main phase. Here I cast Master of Predicaments, triggering Unesh once more. This time I choose Alex as the target of my Sphinx or Fiction trigger, and choose the pile containing Thran Dynamo and Everflowing Chalice. Still not finished, I cast Sphinx of the Final Word, selecting Tom to deal with Unesh's trigger. I put the pile containing Serra Sphinx and Windreader Sphinx into my hand, and then move to combat. I attack Tom with Unesh and Alex with Dream Eater, dealing both of them 4 damage. Finished with my turn, I discard under 7 and pass to Tom.
Tom casts Ashnod's Altar, causing everyone to feel a sense of rising dread. He then passes the turn without doing anything else, further intensifying the dread that we all felt.
Ren plays a mountain and sacrifices his Hedron to draw 2 cards. Next he casts Imprison in the Moon, turning Unesh into a mountain. Well, somebody just painted a big Sphinx-shaped target on their head. Ren then ends his turn, and Alex puts a charge counter on his relic before proceeding to his turn.
I remove the charge counter from my relic to add 1 mana to my mana pool, and then cast Helm of the Host. I equip the helm to my Bane, and in response, Tom activates Grenzo. Bottom card of his library is revealed to be a mountain, which he puts into his graveyard before sacrificing Gonti to his altar to generate 2 mana. This triggers Judith and Pitiless Plunderer, and Tom chooses to deal 1 damage to me with the Diva's trigger before creating a treasure token with the Plunderer. He then uses the mana produced this way to activate Grenzo again, revealing the bottom card of his library to be Meteor Golem, which he is able to put into play thanks to the +1/+0 that Judith gives Grenzo. Now that's what I call lucky. Tom chooses to destroy the helm with the Golem's ETB, and I then move to combat. I attack Tom with my Bane, forcing him to exile 2 permanents. Tom exiles his treasure and his Golem, misreading his Plunderer and creating a new treasure token when Meteor Golem leaves the battlefield. Oops. He then takes 7 damage from the attacking Eldrazi, and I move to my second main phase. Here I cast Scrap Trawler and then pass to Martin.
Call to the Kindred triggers in my upkeep, but sadly I failed to find a legal target. Sad times. I then play an island and cast Windreader Sphinx, which Ren decides to counter with a cheeky counterspell. As if I didn't already have enough reasons to attack Ren. Moving to combat, I attack Alex with my Ambassador, Ren with my Master of Predicaments, and Tom with Dream Eater. Tom responds by sacrificing his Magus of the Moon to Ashnod's Altar, making a treasure and dealing 1 damage to me. He then uses this mana to activate Grenzo, putting Drown Your Temple into his graveyard, and sacrifices his treasure tokens to activate Grenzo yet again. This time he puts Palladium Mirror onto the battlefield, and damage then occurs. Tom takes 4, Ren takes 4, Alex takes 5, and I resolve my Master of Predicaments trigger first. I pick a card from my hand, and Ren guesses that its CMC is less than 4. I reveal the card to be Goliath Sphinx, which has a CMC of 7, and cast the Sphinx without paying its mana cost. Value. Next I resolve Sphinx Ambassador's trigger, searching Alex's library for a card and exiling it face down. Alex guesses that the card will be Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, and I reveal it to be Void Winnower, which I put onto the battlefield under my control. Extremely satisfied with how these triggers went, I pass the turn.
Tom draws a turn, contemplates what he should do, and decides to end his turn without doing anything.
Ren starts his turn by casting Saheeli Rai, and uses her +1 ability to scry 1. He keeps the top card of his library where it is, everyone else takes 1 damage, and Ren passes to Alex.
I play a waste and move to combat, attacking Martin with Bane of Balaged. Martin exiles Sky Diamond and his commander, freeing him from his Moonly prison, and then blocks the Bane with his Void Winnower. Tom responds to this by activating Grenzo, putting Exotic Orchard into his graveyard. He then activates Grenzo again, this time bidding a swamp, and activates Grenzo a 3rd time. This time he puts Krenko Mob Boss into play, and then sacrifices his Mir to Ashnod's altar. He makes a treasure, deals 1 damage to Void Windmill with Judith, and activates Grenzo yet again. Vampire Nighthawk is revealed as the bottom card of his library, and so is put onto the battlefield before being immediately sacrificed to Ashnod's altar. Tom creates another treasure, deals Void Windmill 1 damage, and activates Grenzo for what feels like the billionth time this turn. He puts Pawn of Ulamog into play, and finally lets combat occur. How considerate. Bane of Balaged and Void Winnower trade, given that Tom dealt the Winnower 2 damage, and I move to my second main phase. I cast Duplicant, exiling Ambassador Sphinx. No more stealing my best creatures, thank you very much. Next I cast Hangerback Walker, where X is 4, and with nothing more to do, I pass the turn.
I put Conundrum Sphinx into play with Call to the Kindred, and then recast Unesh. I let Ren choose the piles and put Sharding Sphinx and an island into my hand. I then play the island and move to combat, attacking Alex with all of my Sphinxes that are able to do so. Before damage, Tom sacrifices treasures to activate Grenzo, once again interrupting another player's combat. Bit rude really. Tom puts Necrotol into play, destroying Dream Eater, and Alex takes 17 damage. Master of Predicaments ability then triggers, and Alex guesses that the card I chose will have a CMC greater than 4. I reveal the card to be Laboratory Maniac, which has a CMC of 3, and cast it without paying its mana cost. I then end my turn.
Tom plays a mountain and casts Goblin Cratermaker, which is unexpectedly powerful against my deck. Tom then passes to Ren, once again leaving loads of mana open for Grenzo based shenanigans. Ren responds by untapping his monolith and moves to his turn.
Ren uses Saheeli's +1 ability, scrying the top card of his library to the bottom and dealing the rest of us 1 damage. He then casts Mana Geyser, adding 18 red mana to his mana pool, followed by Metallurgic Summonings. Next he casts Mystic Confluence, creating a 5/5 construct token with his summonings, and chooses to draw a card 3 times. Ren then plays an island and casts his second commander, Rowan Kenrith. Not yet finished, Ren casts Everflowing Chalice, where X is 6. He then remembers that Rowan actually has abilities that he can activate, and uses her +2 ability to force all of Tom's creatures to attack in the next turn. Ren then passes the turn.
I begin my turn by recasting Kozilek, drawing 6 cards from his cast trigger. I then play Urza's Power Plant, getting ever closer to assembling Tron, and end my turn.
I play an island and then move to combat, attacking Tom for 13 and Alex for 12. Alex pleads for help to prevent me from killing him, and Tom agrees to save him. Tom then goes off the rails, sacrificing creatures to his altar to pay for Grenzo's ability, which provides him with more creatures to sacrifice to repeat the process. He also made a treasure whenever he sacrificed a creature, and a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn whenever he sacrificed a non-token creature, which allowed him to continue Grenzoing even when he didn't hit any creatures off his ability. To cut an incredibly long story short, Tom destroyed my Goliath Sphinx with Shriekmaw, exiled Sharding Sphinx from my hand with Mesmeric Fiend, and forced everyone to sacrifice a creature with Plaguecrafter. Also, Alex returned Helm of the Host to his hand with Scrap Troll's ability, and Tom returned Meteor Golem to his hand with Junk Diver. Finally, Tom upheld his promise to Alex, destroying his Hangerback Walker with 4 instances of Judith's ability, causing him to create 4 1/1 Thopters with flying. Once Tom had finally finished playing with himself, Alex blocks all of my attacking creatures with Thopters, and Tom takes 5 damage. I then move to my second main phase, where I cast Theros Sphinx, allowing Ren to pick the piles. I put Semblance Anvil and Temple of the False Gods into my hand, play the Temple, cast the Anvil, and exile Sphinx of Lost Truths beneath it. Still not finished, I cast Horizon Scholar, scrying the top 2 cards of my library to the bottom before targeting Alex with Unesh's ability. I put Hedron Archive into my hand and then cast Chancellor of the Spires, which Alex swiftly counters by discarding Mere Battlesphere to Kozilek's ability. I then pass to Tom, who responds by activating Grenzo 2 more times. Honestly, this is just getting ridiculous now. He reveals the bottom 2 cards of his library to be lands, puts them into his graveyard, and this incredibly long turn finally comes to an end. Only joking. Ren casts Reality Shift, targeting Judith, creating a 2/2 construct thanks to his summonings. Tom responds by sacrificing the Diva to his altar, creating a treasure and a spawn, and deals 1 damage to Rowan with Judith's ability. He then uses the mana that he just created to activate Grenzo's ability, putting Grey Merchant of Asphodel into play. Ren, Alex and I each lose 8 life, Tom gains 24, and Tom finally moves to his turn. I need to lie down.
Tom starts his turn by activating Krenko's ability, creating 6 1/1 goblin tokens. Moving to combat, Tom is forced to attack with all of his creatures and decides to send his entire army at Martin. Martin blocks Pitiless Plunderer with Serra Sphinx and Pawn of Ulamog with Horizon Scholar, and Tom sacrifices both creatures to Ashnod's Altar. He creates 2 spawns, 1 treasure and 4 mana, the latter of which he uses to activate Grenzo's ability twice. He puts Viscera Seer and Duplicant onto the battlefield, exiling Kozilek with the Shapeshifter's ETB. Martin then takes 22 damage and Tom passes to Ren.
Ren uses Rowan's -2 ability, dealing 3 damage to each of Tom's tapped creatures. Tom responds by sacrificing a load of his creatures, adding 18 mana to his mana pool with his altar. He then sacrifices Goblin Crater Maker to destroy Ren's Everflowing Chalice, and Ren responds by tapping the chalice to untap his monolith. Tom then sacrifices 3 more creatures to Ashnod's Altar, including his Mesmeric Fiend. I return Sharding Sphinx to my hand, and Tom activates Grenzo's ability 11 times. He puts Newscraft Mob, Vampire Hexmage, Body Snatcher, Mia Retriever and Goblin Welder into play, and discards a card to Body Snatcher's ETB. Grenzo is then dealt 3 damage, killing him, and finally putting an end to his reign of terror. Next, Ren uses Saheeli's +1 ability, scrying away the top card of his library and dealing the rest of us 1 damage. He then recasts Rowan Kenrith, and Tom removes a +1/+1 counter from his mob to create a 2/2 zombie. He then responds to Ren's spell by sacrificing Body Snatcher to Ashnod's Altar, and returns Grey Merchant of Asphodel to play with the Snatcher's death trigger, draining everyone else for 7 and gaining 21 life. This knocks Alex and myself out of the game, and Ren then uses Will's -2 ability to draw 2 cards. Tom responds to this by sacrificing his Hexmage to remove all of the loyalty counters from Rowan, instantly killing her, and Ren plays Maze of Ith before passing the turn.
Tom plays Command Tower and recasts his commander. He removes another +1/+1 counter from Newscraft Mob, makes a zombie, and Ren counters the spell with Dream Fracture. Tom makes another zombie, Ren makes a 3/3 construct, and both players draw a card. Tom then casts Zulaport Cutthroat, creating yet another zombie with his mob. He then sacrifices all of his creatures to Ashnod's Altar, lowering Ren's life total to 0 with Zulaport Cutthroat triggers, claiming victory for himself.
Well, that's it for another game. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. Don't forget that you can support the channel in 3 easy ways: liking this video, leaving us a comment, and clicking the subscribe button. And if you really want to help us out, take a look at our Patreon page and follow us on Twitter. Links to both are in the description. That's all for now, we'll see you next time.